that I've come up with for you. I want you to let me know. Is it good? Is it bad? How can I improve each one of these ideas down in the comments? This is a way of starting a conversation on how to improve the game that we all love so much. So climb aboard the starship of ideas and let's get going. And our first stop on this adventure is finding a theme and a name for the update. So my idea is Minecraft 1.15. The Underworld update. And with that, we are going deep underground to improve the caves, to make a reason to go into the underground regions, to potentially be a place where you want to just play the game. As with the aquatic update, we now have a reason to be in the ocean, to play in the ocean. We need more of a reason to take up a residence in the underground regions. But where do we start with that? My first idea is something we talked about on a stream way back in the day, and that was to have an underwater and an underground village. Now, we're not going to talk about the underwater village today, but we are going to talk about the underground village being the Underworld update. So this underground village would be built into ravines with dwarven houses built along the edges of the ravines. Now these houses would be hoisted above a lava field down below and little bridges connecting the houses together. Now this lava field is being used to create a forge where the dwarves craft their weapons and their armor. Now these weapons are new items to Minecraft. They're an axe and a warhammer. Now we already have an axe in the game, but the axe that we have is more of a hatchet in my mind, as you use it to chop down trees. And I believe that the weapon aspects of it should be scaled way down, take away the ability to add sharpness to it, and create a true battle axe to Minecraft. And with these new weapons, it really allows you to play the game as you want to chart your own adventure into PvP. So we would have a battle axe, a big wielding axe, and then we would have a hammer, a war hammer. And I think these two new weapons to the game would be absolutely fantastic. And the only place that you could get these is in this village. You have to travel underground and get yourself in the good graces of the dwarves who live in this village, because they do not like outsiders just trampling on into their place. They went underground for a reason. They want their privacy. So you need to go in there and get their confidence. Maybe that's a gift. Maybe that's doing some kind of a feat to gain their trust. And I think that would be absolutely fantastic if you know there are two weapons you cannot craft outside of the dwarves' forge. And it just gives you something to actually explore and go get that is like a tangible benefit for you. And I think that would just bring so much fun to the actual exploring element of Minecraft to be able to find these things in the world. Now that we've met the dwarves, we're moving deeper into the underground regions of Minecraft, where I think they could truly transform the caves, clean them all up, add stalactites, stalagmites, medium-sized mushrooms that cast a little bit of light. I've got a really cool design for that. And just general aesthetic changes to the caves I think would be really cool. One big addition that I'd like to see is the potential adding of a petrified tree underground. This petrified tree would be kind of built into the walls, and the wood that you would get from that would be a beautiful gray. Now this gray would be great as a neutral building block in Minecraft. You could use it for, rustic dilapidated builds or even some kind of metropolis. It would be absolutely amazing to have that particular color of wood in Minecraft. And as we go deeper into the caves, we find our first biome, the Crystal Cave, something that I've wanted Mojang to add since they added colored glass into the game. This is crystals hanging from the ceiling in all the different Minecraft colors, emitting just a little bit of light, having this mysterious feel throughout the entire room and all of its color and grandeur. But this looks beautiful and looks amazing above, but is there anything more to it? Yes. If you break the crystals, they will break into fragments. These fragments could then be used to cast colored light into Minecraft. You would take these fragments and put them into a redstone lamp, the new lamp or lantern that was added in 1.14, or a torch. I don't know exactly what this mechanism could be, so help me come up with that in the comments. And with that, we could transform our builds and add mood lighting to truly add depth and all sorts of wondrous things to our builds with colored light. Just thinking off the top of my head, you could vision a police car in a city that you've built with red and blue light lights flashing, or potentially some kind of a spooky castle where you got some greens and some reds and some purples to really create a scary feel to the build. And I think it not only looks beautiful, it's a rare thing in the game to go and explore for, but has a practical side of adding colored light to the game. It would be a game changer for builders. As we progress deeper into the caves, we find a lone slime down below, and it leads to the most important question of them all. What is the deal with slime chunks? These things are impossible to find without a third-party program, and back in my survival world days, I just went to the swamp like a noob and looked for them at night because I could never find a slime chunk. And with this idea, we would have a giant cave, and at the center of it, we would have a pool of slime, and at its heart would be a spawner that when these slimes were spawned in this location, they are propelled out of the pool. And I think it'd be a really fun visual thing to watch these slimes being propelled out of the slime pool in the center of the cave. This gives new players a visual indication on where slimes are spawned. You know, experienced players could do their farms around it. Would be absolutely incredible. But is there anything else we could do with slime? I think slime arrows could be fun. Something that is shot out of a bow at a player or a mob, and it freezes them in place for 5 to 10 seconds. Maybe take slime balls, similar to redstone dust and how it is laid on the ground, lay slime balls onto the ground. And when a player walks over a mob, they also get stuck to the ground. Not like a bouncy slime block, because that's a big block. No, this is just, you know, put onto the ground to be sticky, and you get stuck there for a second. It could be a really fun way to trap a player. Our next underground biome is the Oasis. The Oasis is very similar to the Season 5 Hermitcraft community area, where you have trees and waterfalls and a great place to start your underground basin that it's already all kind of carved out. You can do all sorts of...
There's nothing like a day on the water. The preparation, the expectation, the moment of truth. Don't let a bad battery keep you landlocked. The
wonderful things underground inside of the Oasis. And our final biome here is the Dragon's Den. Now, there is no dragon in the overworld, nor will there be, but this is where the End Dragon used to live before it was banished long ago by an ancient civilization in the underworld. And I think that could be really cool extra lore to Minecraft. Is that dragon once was in the overworld. This is where it lived. Maybe there's some kind of treasure lurking into the cave, but I think that could be really cool. Extra little detail, very rare, maybe just one per world. Let us travel above ground and start working on abandoned mine shafts. They are so 2011 and they need an update. So first thing I would add is above ground access. The miners and crafters of late had to have had a way to get underground. So you would add a little tunnel going deep underground and have it caved in. It makes sense with the abandoned nature of the mine. And you know, you dig your way through the gravel and the cobble to the very bottom and you find a newly updated look to the mine shafts. And deep into the interior of them, there is a rare vault full of ore and loot. So it gives you an incentive to want to travel deep into it, along with maybe even a chamber filled with TNT that the miners used. Why this place was abandoned, you may ask? Well, because there were ghosts. That's right. Minecraft needs a ghost mob in here that's mysterious, that maybe can interact with the player in a mischievous way. I think could be really fantastic. So far, with this update, we have satisfied the builders with their crystal and their lights. The PvPers are running around with their axes and their hammers and their new armor. Explorers are finding all sorts of new vistas and wonders underground, but somebody that's been left out is our friends, the Redstoners. Hashtag I'm a Redstoner and I feel left out. Let's change that now. With the underground update, I think it is the perfect time to add some new functionality to the minecart system. So back in 2014, Mojang implemented derailing for a short time in updates. And at the time, I proposed something different to update the minecart rail system, and that was diamond rails, things that went 2 times faster than your standard gold rails. And I thought it would just be amazing for transportation systems, as this was before horses, elytras, and the rest. And that was really the only way of getting like far fast was a minecart. But as I was running this by my friend Cubfan135, a super awesome YouTuber and fellow Vex, he said it would be also great if there was a slower rail than gold. So this is the tiered system. You have emerald, because you want to do iron, because iron's how you craft standard rails. So emerald is 2 times slower than gold. Gold is your standard speed, and diamond is 2 times faster. So transportation system on diamond, you got your standard gold, and then for redstone farms, emerald for moving things a little bit slower through your farm. And that right there sounds amazing. The next rail that I would create is the breaker rail. So the breaker rail will break the minecart that goes over it, and then it would drop the shulker box or the chest into a hopper if you placed one down below. I think that would be useful for farms and for stations. The next thing is a minecart door. I don't know how this would be implemented. Hopefully you could help me with this, but I'd love to see some kind of door for, minecart rides. If you're trying to create some kind of a theme park roller coaster, to have the ability to have like doors open and close, I think could be really, really cool. So the next rail would be the elevator rail. So this rail, when a redstone circuit would be applied to it, it would drop the minecart 1 block or 100 blocks, and then reverse 1 block or 100 blocks above it. I think that sounds amazing. I love that one. Next is the minecarts. Those silly minecarts need an update for sure. First thing I would implement is a double seat minecart. This is a more expensive minecart than the standard one, so it helps balance gameplay wise. And with that, you could take your friend with you or your pet. Also, you could put a double chest into it. For the single rails out there, you got yourself a shulker box. Why can't we put a shulker box in a minecart? Sounds amazing, and I think some kind of redstone genius out there could find like some cool way of moving some kind of storage system together. I think could be really fantastic. Next is something that we all know. I know, the most underappreciated Minecraft item in the entire game. Something has been relegated to the back of the code since 2010, laughed at and humiliated by the fancy items that are constantly added to the game, and that is the minecart furnace. That silly goose that has been just hanging in there since the very beginning of the game. Let's breathe some new life into this item and make it useful again. So first thing, this is redesigned to be more of like a train looking block. Next is you can connect multiple minecarts to it, up to 5. So it has a switch to it and you can ride on it. So once the minecarts are attached to it, you can't ride in those. Those are for chests and for mobs. You ride as the engineer on board the train, and there is a button you can push and that will activate it. And it's not very fast, honestly. Like, it doesn't go super fast, but what it's there for is to move large amounts of items from one place to the other. So if you have a ton of items down in a mine, you can get on that thing and take a whole bunch of chests up to the top. Maybe, like I said, if you want to move some mobs around, you got your mobs down and locked into their minecarts down below, and off you go on your minecart furnace. And that is the underground update. But there is more. With Mojang's desire to update some of the old biomes with new enhancements, I would turn my attention to the swamp. The first thing I would add is fireflies buzzing under one of the swamp trees, and you could capture it with a net and place it in a lantern. And with that lantern in your offhand, you now have a dynamic light source that will follow you into the caves, this light source, so you don't have to place down torches around you as it casts light. Not only do you have a beautiful mob that brings in life to the game, but it also has a functionality, but it does fade over time, so it helps balance it out. But let's move on to the witch's hut, and I think we could all agree that no self-respecting witch ever is going to live in that hut. No, they need a much more prominent place, and I'm envisioning a tree with a little house kind of tucked into the roots, and as you enter, you go down into the roots of the tree, and that's where, you find some witch paraphernalia and things like that, and that's the place that I feel a witch would be at home. And then the final thing for the swamp, and that is a graveyard. I just feel like the swamp is a little bit of a scary, mysterious place, and a graveyard would fit in just perfect. And with this graveyard, there are tombstones, and these tombstones have, of course, buried Minecrafters in there, and maybe they have some of their old treasures that they once possessed in their flesh form, if you will. But the ghosts protect it. If you go in there, the ghosts will scare you out, so be warned. There are treasure, but there are ghosts. And there we go, guys. That is my 1.15 Underworld update along with the swamp reimagining. And I hope you guys liked it. It was really fun to put this together.